Right, just so you know in advance, there's a little bit of as yet unverified but sad news. I'll put it in a postscript at the end of this review. Right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you happen to be. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knack. I'm the brains behind the Daily Teaser, which is a set of hopefully fun and enjoyable brain teaser quizzes that will float past once a day here on my YouTube channel at Mr. Cuddy2977 and on my blog, Knack's Old Peculiar, possibly the world's longest running, most repetitive, boring blog that you're ever going to come across. Please go have a look at it. It's in the teaser. I'll try and put them in a little eye there in the corner. Please feel free to subscribe because when I release the answer to those teasers, you get to hear them first. And please feel free to hit the notification bell as well. That way, when I do the teasers and my movie reviews, you get to hear about them. And you get to hear about the TV reviews I also do. And you'll get to hear about them when they float past. It's TV I meant to talk to you about tonight, and as you will know, last week saw me watching the first episode of The Crusade, the classic Doctor Who story starring William Hartnell as the First Doctor. Last night was Friday the 27th, tonight is Saturday the 28th. I saw the second episode, The Night of Jaffa, and wanted to tell you about it. Episode 2 of The Crusade, The Night of Jaffa, picks up from Episode 1, reminding us that Barbara, Jacqueline Hill, has been kidnapped and that King Richard, Julian Glover, refuses the trade with Saladin in order to free her. However, the injured Detonibu, Bruce Whiteman, and the Doctor, William Hartnell, point out that Saladin had to send a whole troop of soldiers to kidnap Barbara and William Dupree's, John Flynn. Sending an emissary, and not just any old emissary, to the Egyptian Sultan, threatening to publicise the incompetent numbers of troops he needed to capture 2 people, could work in their favour. While they're discussing exactly who to send, Princess Joanna, Jean Marsh, comes to see her brother and introduce herself to Richard's new courtiers, and to insist they get new clothes and that Detonibu be given better care than the main hall can offer. That's a job that's handed over to the Chamberlain, Robert Lancashire, and although the Doctor doesn't realise, the Chamberlain is convinced he's seen Vicky's outfit before, has seen it, and knows exactly where it's come from. Now, what did I make of the Night of Jaffa? And, in case you're curious, who exactly is that knight? Let's answer that second question first, shall I? The knight in question is quite simply William Russell's character, Ian. He's knighted by Richard in order to serve as an emissary to Saladin, and one who can free both Barbara and Dupree, John Flynn, and try and arrange a diplomatic marriage between Saladin's brother Safaddin and Princess Joanna herself. It's possibly something that William Russell, and I'll cover this in the postscript I should add, but it's not something that William Russell would have been totally unfamiliar with. He played Sir Lancelot in the 1956 ITV series, The Adventures of Sir Lancelot. Having said that, now let's move on to the episode itself. The episode itself is pretty good. It carries on the story, takes us forward, it introduces us to 2 new characters, the wily merchant Luigi Ferrigo and the noble Princess Joanna. It moves the plot along at a nice pace, and it sees a nice big climax where Barbara is being chased and almost captured in the bazaar. About my only concern with The Night of Jaffa. Did I tell you I bought the DVD version of the Patrick Troughton classic story The Web of Fear back in 2013? I bought the DVD version of the Patrick Troughton story, The Web of Fear, back in 2013, just in case you didn't realise. This was not long after it was recovered from Nigeria and released on DVD and on iTunes and on Amazon Prime. Now, episode 3 of The Web of Fear is the episode that introduced us to Nicholas Courtney's recurring character, the Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. And that episode was missing when found. Apparently, there's allegations that particular episode got stolen somewhere in between Nigeria and the UK. It's gone astray. It's missing in action, basically. So for the original 2013 release, they reconstructed episode 3 from the available soundtrack. A lot of fans recorded it at the time it was originally on back in the 60s. So they reconstructed it with that original soundtrack, picked up from a lot of fan recordings, and with a lot of publicity photos made at the time of the recording and of the screening. Now, it's been a while since I've seen that original standard definition version of the Troughton story, but I felt the Telesnaps version of episode 3 of The Web of Fear was far superior to the animated reconstruction in the Blu-ray version of The Web of Fear. It's god-awful. I literally, whenever I do sit down to rewatch The Web of Fear, I just skip the animated version and replace it with the Telesnaps equivalent. It's a lot better than that animated version. Now, I mention that because I feel that Telesnaps episode 3 of Web of Fear also seems, to me at any rate, superior to this Telesnaps version of the Night of Jaffa. I'm not entirely sure why, but I get the impression that in the Night of Jaffa there was less publicity slots available to reconstruct the story than there was for The Web of Fear Part 3. I'm not entirely sure why, but that's how it seemed to me. I am assuming the age of the Night of Jaffa didn't help. It seems there's possibly less material to be found than there is for the comparatively newer Troughton shows. I think Web of Fear was 1965 and the Crusade would have been 1964. So there's a year's... No, wait a minute. There's maybe 67, I think the Web of Fear was. So there's a couple of years difference there at the very least. Those telesnaps weren't something I felt didn't help the episode. Overall, it's a great episode. It's a fine story, but I think getting hold of more telesnaps, if you were going to do it this way, would have been helpful. There are some sections where you just hear lots of gruntings, groanings, what have you, but you can't picture what's happening because there's only one publicity shot available to be used for that scene. Does that mean I am going to stop watching this story, knowing that there's another Telesnaps episode 4 to come, knowing that episode 3 may seem odd because this is a missing episode? Absolutely not. It means I've seen an episode of a story that, as flawed as the episode is still a good watch. It still moves the story forward. Frankly, I will be watching the next episode, The Wheel of Fortune, on Friday the 3rd of February, and I will have my written and video reviews up by the 4th of February. Hopefully, I will see you then. Please remember I've given this 2 stars on my rating, this episode, and I will see you next time, and we can see what we can do with episode 3, The Wheel of Fortune. Be seeing you. Right, as promised, the slightly sad, if true, postscript. I found out whilst reading the Wikipedia entry on William Russell today that apparently, according to an interview given at the cast interview for The Power of the Doctor, Janet Teagan tells us that William Russell, Ian Chesterton, has been diagnosed with dementia. I've not been able to verify that, as the relevant tweet with the interview has been taken down. But if it's true, and I've no doubt it is, given it's apparently come from Janet Fielding, then that is very, very sad and makes William Russell's last appearance all the more special. See you next week.